There are shockwaves in the cosmos this week. We have Venus aligning with Uranus, and this is the shockwave of all shockwaves because Venus and Uranus are getting together at a pretty loaded degree, shall we say. They're getting together at 29 degrees Taurus. 29 degrees is known as the anaretic degree within astrology. It's the final degree of that sign. So it's a bit like being on a precipice. Like Uranus is hovered at 29 degrees, kind of looking out at 0 degrees Gemini, which it enters next week. So stay posted on that because this is a brand new Uranus story that is showing up this year. But we're not quite there yet. Right now, Uranus is still peering out, and there is a little bit of an urgency baked into the 29th degree. Again, it's at the precipice. It's like being at the top of a cliff, looking out into the abyss of the next degree of the next sign. And sometimes it can be a little bit chaotic, especially with a planet as unexpected as Uranus hanging out there. And so there can be an energy where in big ways or small ways, things may feel a little bit chaotic. Things may feel to be a little bit all over the place. The interesting thing about Uranus is that Uranus in and of itself is a neutral planet. It does not indicate positive surprises nor negative surprises. It is simply the planet that governs the unpredictable. So how do I, as the host of your Magic Monday weekly horoscope podcast now, predict the unpredictable? How do I tell you what to expect for the unexpected? What I would say is important for your week as you walk into it is just being open to what surprises Uranus may have up its sleeve, as well as for you personally, do whatever possible that grounds you. Take care of your nervous system, take care of your vessel. When things that are unexpected happen and we already are feeling disembodied already, it can kind of throw us out of whack even more so. It can make us more susceptible to being blown in the wind. We're blown by the astrology, kind of all over the place, feeling chaotic, feeling easily triggered, feeling very reactive. Keep in mind, we have Saturn and Neptune in Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, a sign that can be more reactive. It can be more fight or flight within itself. Basically, it's going to be important to take whatever unexpected events that the astrology throws your way this week and that life throws your way this week and take it all in stride. It is meeting up in Taurus, right? One step at a time. Taurus is the bull. And I don't mean to paint this in a negative light. I just want you to really ground yourself, to breathe, to anchor into your nervous system. I don't want you to be swayed by this astrology, because when we're swayed, when we're easily reactive, when we're all over the place, we're not very empowered. And when we're not feeling very empowered, we're not able to make very grounded decisions for ourselves. And that is really what I want for you. And it's also Cancer season. So Cancer really illuminates these themes around nourishment, around self-care, around anchoring into and protecting what is sacred to you, around pouring in to what pours into you, whether that is activities, whether that is pets, whether that is people. It's important, even if things feel a little wacky and a little chaotic, that you are taking care of what is near and dear to you. This is soul food. This is deeply important, especially with Jupiter in Cancer. And it's not to say that all of our shockwaves and surprises this week are negative and chaotic. I mean, it's Venus we're talking about, the planet of love meeting up with Uranus. So some of you have some shocking events coming your way this week around love. Some of you could connect to somebody who is outside of your typical type. Some of you could go on a very spontaneous date. Venus is also around money. So some of you could unexpectedly come into some money. Some of you could have an unexpected expense. Are you getting the gist of Uranus energy? It's around what's unexpected. But I want to highlight with Venus being open to unexpected delights, being open to unexpected pleasures, being open to unexpected romantic occurrences that come into your universe. Right after Venus meets up with Uranus, it then settles into Gemini, curious, communicative, chatty Gemini. And Venus and Gemini will sextile Saturn and sextile Neptune over the weekend. And so even though there can be chaos happening around you, Venus and Gemini wants you to be open to connect. It wants you to be open to flirt, to get out there, to see what it is that you can learn about this world, to see wherever possible you can have a little fun, I'm telling you, for some people, this Uranus story and Venus and Gemini, it's not going to show up around this disaster occurring. It could just be the sensation of restlessness around, I want to go outside. I want to live my life. I want to connect to people. And it's important to know that connection can be very potent, powerful soul food in and of itself. And soul food is the name of the game this Cancer season. So within this video, we will be discussing everything that you need to know about the astrology from June 30th until July 6th, and how it is that you can navigate it in the most empowered way possible. That's why this is called Magic Monday, because when you flow with the astrology, rather than forcing against it, when you take hold of the opportunities and steer clear of the challenges, you turn your life into something magical. So we have a lot to get into this week, and we're going to need some hydration in order to get into it. So take a step inside my Cosmic Cafe. Let me know what you are sipping on to start your week. I am drinking my obsession this summer. I've been drinking one of these a day. It's so simple, but it's so replenishing for your body. It is just water with frozen berries. In there, I put blueberries, blackberries, and raspberries. I just freeze them, pop them in. They work as a great ice. Then you have a delicious berry treat once they're all melted. And then a little bit of salt for electrolytes. And it has been my obsession as of late. I've been super into electrolytes. Keep in mind, if you live somewhere where it's super warm, make sure that you are replenishing and hydrating your body with not just water, but also electrolytes. I just want to say that Jupiter in Cancer has recently entered my 11th house of friendships and community, and I have just felt overflowing with gratitude for my friendships in my life and for you all within my life, this amazing magical community that gathers within my cosmic corner of the internet. And I swear, something around my content or people who are into astrology just attracts the coolest, most creative, amazing, kind-hearted souls. Like, I just really adore each and every opportunity that I get to connect with you all. I'm like so convinced that the people who watch my channel are all up to really cool things, because I connect with so many of you, and it's like everybody is up to something magical out in the world. And I just feel so grateful for you to stop by the Cosmic Corner of the internet. I want to highlight that these earrings are from Ashley Rose, whose jewelry line is called Ashley Rose Designs. You can find her jewelry at ashleyrosedesigns.com. I'll make sure to drop it below. I also want to shout out Claudia, who's amazing, who has sent me so many amazing goods from her shop, Soulflow. I'll drop that below. I have one of her candles here. Her candles are absolutely the best, and she always just sends me all of the goodies. So shout out to you, Claudia. And I also just want to say, I actually didn't intend to do this, but this necklace, this beautiful Pisces necklace, was also gifted to me from a subscriber, Zachary. I'm like, you all are so special to me, and I feel like I don't say that as much as I should. And I feel like Jupiter in Cancer, I've just felt overflowing with just like love, support, and gratitude. To everyone who has gifted me anything, I just want to thank you, because there's actually been so many kind souls who have gifted me products from their businesses or classes from the courses that they teach. Like, I just feel so grateful. And it's always my aim when I sit down within this cosmic corner of the internet to pour into you. And I feel so grateful that you all pour into me. I really want this to be a safe space that you can come back to that helps in nourishing your nervous system and helps you feel regulated and balanced. I trust that my audience is educated and informed. And I feel that particularly at this time, so many of us are being bombarded by news and media at every corner, at every turn. The reason I don't speak to specifics within my videos is because I think it's going to be incredibly important with the period of time that we're stepping into to have energetic sovereignty, to really do whatever you can to regulate your emotions, to ground and soothe your nervous system. And so I'm hopeful that my videos, my content, my podcast can be a safe space for you. My background, I used to be a yoga instructor, and how I started doing videos was structuring them and thinking about them as yoga classes. Of course, we're not doing yoga within this space, but I think of it as an hour of time, sometimes an hour and a half. Let's be real. This Gemini midheaven, not always know when to stop yapping, but I think of it as an hour to an hour and a half of a place that you can escape to, that you can pour into yourself, that you can essentially trust your own intuition or dive into your inner landscape, seeing where these themes are coming up. And a lot of times dialing into specifics takes us out of that experience that I'm trying to consciously conjure within this environment. And I just think it's going to be really important to dial into what individually makes us feel empowered and motivated and inspired, so we can continue to do our work out into the world, so we can continue to make a difference in the ways that our hearts and souls feel pulled towards, so we can continue to make the world more magical. That is my aim. That is my why. So let's go ahead and take it into Vibe Check of the Week. So welcome to Vibe Check of the Week. This is a segment in which we take all of the astrology from this week's astrology, or every week's astrology really, and compare it to a real life scenario. I'm not saying that this exact situation is going to play out within your world, but if you tune into the nuances, the themes, the vibes, the emotions of it, you may see that similar ones do surface within your universe as you navigate your week. So this week's astrology feels like the following scenario or the following vibe. We will say that you are in the early stages of getting to know someone romantically. You know, we have to make our Vibe Check of the Week a little romantic when we have such a Venus emphasized week, with Venus conjoining Uranus, entering Gemini, sextile Saturn, sextile Neptune. But of course, as with every other Vibe Check of the Week, feel free to sub in whatever makes it more relevant or applicable to your world. So maybe that wouldn't be someone that you're dating in the early stages. Maybe it would be a friend within the early stages, or a collaborator within the early stages. But you're early in the process of getting to know someone and you're really liking how it's going. It feels good. And you are shutting down your other options. You're like, you know what? I like what I'm seeing here. I'm liking how this is feeling. I'm liking where this is going. I'm not necessarily open to other options. And it's all going well until you have a date where you get the dreaded ick. Don't you hate getting the ick? You just get the ick. You guys go out for empanadas and wine, and the way that this individual is chomping on those empanadas, telling stories, little bits of spinach and ricotta crumbs are spraying all over the table. A lot of your dates prior to this point were not centered around eating. You guys went to the movie theater and they weren't a popcorn person. You guys got drinks. So this is the first time you're seeing this person eat. And even though you like them, there's attraction, it's been a vibe, you're just like, I don't know if this is for me. And again, a lot of people would look at that and be like, really? It's just one thing about this person. It's just how they eat. But it's just like an unexpected event where you're just like, yeah, I don't know about this. And after this empanada date, they drive you back to your home and they say like, okay, I want to take this to the next level. Can we be committed? Can this be a thing? And even though there's so much that you like about this person, that moment of them chomping down on that empanada and just like talking loudly with food in their mouth, it just cannot escape your mind. And you're just like not ready to give up your freedom. You know, it's the beginning of summer. You're wanting to flirt. You're wanting to get out there. And again, you were into this person, but you're just in energy where you're just not there to be fully committed at this particular moment in time. It's still very early into this dynamic. And so you say to this individual, you're like, you know, I really like you. I've really liked getting to know you. You don't mention the empanadas and the chewing of it all, but you do say, I just need more time. Can we just continue to see where this goes? This is all very early. And this individual responds by pressuring you to give an answer right then and there, which again, they're within their right to do if that is what they're after, is a committed relationship. But you're like, this is going really fast. And I kind of don't love this energy of you pressuring me in a kind of threatening way. The vibe that it was giving was this energy around like, you need to say yes to me. And that's also a red flag within itself. Like the empanada thing, maybe this individual could learn to chew with their mouth closed. But the pressure of it all, you're just like, okay, absolutely not. Like I recently got out of a relationship. I'm not ready to jump into something right away. And I don't love that this person is not honoring my boundaries around that. Even though you felt good about where it was going prior to this date threw a wrench in things. It was a bit of a shockwave, Uranus style. You know, Uranus hovered that anaretic degree. That's that energy of this person pressuring you. Like, are we doing this or not? Which again, maybe that was a boundary for them around this is sink or swim. Like we got to jump into this, but you weren't there You may have liked to continue to see where it went, but they drew a firm line in the sand and you didn't particularly love how the conversation came across. And as you think about it, you're like, I'm really not ready to be committed. I'm not ready for a relationship. I'm kind of enjoying the process of meeting new individuals and connecting and going on dates. I feel like I'm connecting to new sides of myself. I'm ready to flirt. Listen, Venus enters Gemini. This can be a very flirty influence, of course. There's other manifestations of this, okay? Some individuals can find that this shift conjures more curiosity. You could be wanting to learn more and communicate more on various matters. You could be spending more of your money because Venus's finances on books and on journals. I know I'm not the only one who spends probably way too much money on those sort of things, but that definitely can also be a shift with Venus and Gemini. But let's just say it. Gemini has riz. Gemini has gift of the gab. Gemini loves to connect with different sorts of individuals and learn from individuals. And again, learn about self by connecting with other individuals. Venus and Gemini will sextile Saturn and Neptune in Aries. Aries is the sign of self. So it's like within the vibe check, our protagonist was like, I'm not ready to completely shut the door on connecting with different individuals because I feel like I learn more about me and my desires with every person that I connect to. Like I kind of want to be in this era of being a social butterfly. And if this person doesn't and wants an answer right then and there, like, then it's clear that we are not aligned. And this needs to be the decision point. This needs to essentially be marked with a change of some sort. And so you cut things off after that ill-fated empanada night and the romance that never was, but you're really just in the space around wanting to date different sorts of individuals, say yes to different opportunities. And you just know that you're the type of person when you're in a relationship, you're just not as open. You don't say yes to random parties. You don't say yes to random gatherings or museum openings. You're just in a space where you're wanting to live. You're wanting to connect. You're wanting to learn about life and about yourself. And you just recognize that being booed up at the beginning of the summer is not going to be conducive for that. So like I said, it's not going to show up where everybody has this empanada night and everybody decides to cut something off with someone that they were talking to or anything like that. Like I said, this could show up around meeting someone unexpected who ushers you into a new chapter of learning, right? I do believe we can learn with a partner. It's not to say you're either in a relationship or you're out and about learning and trying new things. But within this particular connection within the vibe check, it was just clear. Like if I invest my energy here, I'm just going to close it off from other places. But maybe some of you meet someone where it's like, let's go to the museums and let's travel new places. Let's say yes to life. Some of you could have this play out financially. A new financial opportunity comes in and it's something that you learn more about. Maybe some of you connect with a new collaborator of some sort, a new partner of some sort, and you learn within the process of that. It's going to show up differently for all of us. And I just want to be so candid and share what this is coming up for me this week. This is going to be the first Magic Monday that I've ever posted where I have someone helping me edit. If you know me personally, you know that editing has low-key been the bane of my existence. Listen, I'm so grateful to do what it is that I do, but just the amount of hours that I have given just fighting for my life in iMovie is just insane. And I love recording. I love connecting with you all. Editing is the bane of my existence, and it has really gotten in the way of me being able to create more content. And it's a shift, right, from how I typically show up. You know, Uranus energy, we have to be open for changes in big or small ways. It's most certainly a shift that I am open to working with the editor and revolutionizing my processes. I think I'm going to learn a lot through this journey. You know, Venus entering Gemini, this is where it's showing up for me this week. And it is risky. You know, it's risky when you meet someone new. It's risky when you cut something off with someone. Like Uranus energy can bring in this thrill, this surprise energy. Like it's definitely a change, and change in and of itself is going to be risky. But I know that I'm going to learn a lot within this process. It really required me to surrender control. You know, if you know my chart, Virgo moon and rising, I'm not someone who's super comfortable accepting help or even just like loosening the grip that I have on how I typically do things. But I know in order to grow, I need to let go. And maybe that's a nudge that we're feeling as it relates to this week's astrology. So we'll go ahead and take it into our day-by-day analysis. I just want to remind you that all times that I state are PDT. There's also timestamps below. Should you feel called to jump to a particular day, jump back to a particular day, that is an option for you. And without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into the astrology of Monday, June 30th. So on Monday, June 30th, we have the sun in Cancer and the moon in Virgo all day long. And it's important to highlight that this is the waxing crescent lunar phase, which is around pushing things out into the world, growing and expanding. And whether it is a blossoming romance, like it is within the vibe check, or a project that we are working on, it's exciting to be in the growth phase. It's exciting to be in the budding phase. It's exciting to feel some momentum around anything. And it's also important to know, especially with the Uranus transit later on this week, it's important to know that things can shift and change at any point in time. Like just because something's feeling good now does not mean that it will continue to feel good. And I know the moon's in Virgo, sometimes we can be in this energy around like worrying around the future, but I think the call is how it is that we can really nourish the now, be present for the process. We talked a lot about that in last week's Magic Monday episode, but it's just important to take things in stride around this is feeling good. I'm going to see where this takes me and to allow that to be something expansive rather than scary. Like allow an unofficial mantra to be, I'll see how I feel when I get there. Because keep in mind, we're in Cancer season. It's very concerned with how things feel. And something may feel good on a Monday and then feel off on Friday. You know, the bowling date felt really good, but this empanada date did not feel as good, right? And so it's important just to take things in stride. And again, with anything new that we are trying or setting off on, or any new work project or collaboration, just dialing into, okay, this feels good. And we are continuing on at this certain pace and we'll just see how they develop. We'll see how they grow. It's not to say that we can't have intention. It's not to say that we can't have an aim, but we really won't know how we feel until we get there. So how can we just take it in stride, one step at a time? I want to let you know that today is when Mercury enters its pre-shadow retrograde phase. So yes, in the month of July, we do have a Mercury retrograde upon us. And it's not that life needs to stop when Mercury retrograde is occurring or Mercury is transiting through its pre-shadow retrograde or its post-shadow retrograde. In fact, we know life does not stop for anything. Not even astrology. I do want you to be conscious, especially around Mercury matters. Mercury corresponds to communication and words. And so from this point onward, my encouragement would be to emphasize the prefix re. Reread that email before you think it. Rethink if this is really what you want to do before you make a major decision. Recalibrate, review what's not working within your life. You know, we tend to think of Mercury retrograde as a very chaotic, all over the place time. And while it absolutely can be, you know, Mercury's the trickster. So there could be technical difficulties and situations that transpire where it definitely can bring its own brand of chaos to the table. But Mercury retrograde is really the cosmos giving us this period of time to dial into what's already been ongoing before feeling like we need to barrel into something new. So again, this was also like softly woven into the vibe check around like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold your horses. Like if you're forcing me to make this decision right now, like this is not in alignment with me. Like I cannot be rushed. I cannot be forced. This doesn't feel good to be rushed or forced. The vibe feels off. It feels off. Something's not right. Because no one should force you to make a decision then or there. Again, it's not wrong for this mysterious empanada eating person to want a relationship and want to go in that direction, but nobody should be pressuring you to do something that you don't want to do. Like that's never okay. If you ever feel pressured within some sort of sales meeting that you need to make this deposit right now, if you feel pressured by somebody that you're dating, like honor how that feels. Like it feels off. Sometimes it could bring us into this energy of panic. And sometimes when we're panicked, we don't make the most informed, empowered decisions. There's really nothing wrong with saying that you need time to think about something. There's really nothing wrong with taking time to do your own research before you get back to that salesperson. There's really nothing wrong with taking a moment to get quiet, to get still, to really contemplate how it feels like internally. And so honoring that, whether that's showing up in big or small ways with this forthcoming Mercury retrograde, where people are trying to force you to the finish line or force you to make a decision or something like this, because it can bring us into a more panicked state of mind. So keep that in mind. If someone's trying to force you to make a decision or make a purchase, like with Mercury retrograde, if you feel like you need more time, you need more time. Listen, I'm a big believer in divine timing. I think the universe gives us an opportunity to catch our breath, to really contemplate what is transpiring and what feels good, what we're wanting to invest more energy into, what we need to refine, what we need to review, how it is that we can tie up loose ends from our past before moving onward. And so if the timing feels off, it's just off. Your empanada date really wants a relationship, and I'm sure you setting this person free frees that person up to go find their soulmate who's ready to do the thing. You're just not there. And it's okay for you not to be there. And so with Mercury in its retrograde, keep your eyes open in big or small ways for your Mercury retrograde story to start surfacing. So there could be certain news that comes up this week, certain information that is revealed to you that may be part of your Mercury retrograde story. And I just want you to make a note of it. Journal about it, observe it. There may be more that comes to the surface. And really, with Mercury retrograde and us moving into this period, it really is an optimal time to catch your breath. I know life moves so fast. You know, cue Times Like These by Addison. I've been so into that album. I love that album so much. Let me know if any of you have also been loving the album by Addison. But she has a line in Times Like These where she's like, my life moves faster than me. Does anybody else feel that sometimes? It's like things are happening so fast and opportunities are coming in, or developments are happening, or this romance is happening so fast and it's going at such a quick pace. It's like, I can't keep up with this. And Mercury retrograde is an opportunity to slow down, to get quiet, to go within, because it's not to say that action is always better than non-action, right? Sometimes it's better to make the right decision. Like sometimes it is helpful to go within, to contemplate, do I really want this purchase that the salesperson was selling me on? Do I really want to say yes to this partner? Do I really want to be in a committed relationship? Like sometimes it's really helpful, especially in Cancer season, to get quiet, to go within. And so with Monday, we do have a Virgo moon, so it can be very helpful to dial into the details, to be of service, to take care of your body. You know, Cancer sun, Virgo moon, these are both energies that are concerned with taking care of something in a different way. Like Cancer is the archetypal nurturing energy, right? Nurturing children, nurturing pets, nurturing plants, nurturing projects, putting soul into what it is that we do. And so there could be something that you're feeling called to nourish within your life, and nourish with both your energy and your emotions with the Cancer sun, but also with your actions with the Virgo moon, showing up, refining your craft, doing your push-ups, so to speak, getting your reps in. You know, if you are a comedian, that means practicing your bits. If you're a writer, that means writing down your short story. It's around showing up, getting your reps in. This also is nourishing the process. So on Tuesday, July 1st, we start the day with the Virgo moon trining Venus in Taurus, and then a little bit closer to the afternoon, the Virgo moon will trine Uranus. So the Virgo moon trines that building Venus-Uranus conjunction. And the ask here is, how can I refine my processes in order to bring about positive change? Because I don't mean to cast Uranus in a negative light. Uranus can just be sort of a wacky influence, definitely can bring chaos and unexpected events, but it also can be bringing about change, bringing about novelty, being open to spontaneity around maybe doing something differently. Like I said yesterday, Mercury entered its pre-shadow retrograde phase, and Virgo is concerned with, yes, our physical health and our well-being, but also our day-to-day work, like the labor that goes into everything, which isn't always so glamorous. It's not always so glamorous to get our reps in. Yes, it could be something that we are soulfully invested in, or we care about our clients, or we care about what it is that we do, or we care about what it is that we take care of. But there's parts of anything that takes work, takes effort, whether that's parenting, being a pet mom, having a job, whatever it is that we take care of with the energy of Cancer Sun. And there's an opportunity, even if it's just like mentally thinking about this, to contemplate, is there a better way to do what it is that I'm doing? If you're a business owner, are there certain processes that I can change or revolutionize in some way? Are there certain processes that I can shift in order to bring in more income? Maybe that's the Venus-Uranus story, is contemplating a pricing shift. Maybe it's around investing your money in new ways, outsourcing or delegating, or just contemplate, is there a better usage of my time and energy? Because sometimes when we're in the process and the routine of doing something, sometimes we can forget that we can change things at any point in time. And of course, this shows differently if you work in a job that is very structured, but it's really contemplating where it is that we feel unsatisfied and contemplating, what if this could be different? Are there certain processes within my business where, yes, it's how I've always done things, but does it serve me moving forward? Can I invite in positive change? And maybe that's just mental. Like I said, with Mercury retrograde, just contemplating what is working and what is not, and where can I shake up my rituals and routines in order to bring in more. Last week's new moon was all around this, like, thank you, universe, more of this, please. So it's really dialing in what feels really good within my business, within my day-to-day, within my journey of being a mother or a pet parent or what have you, and what doesn't feel as good. And how can I invite in changes if there is something that I am unsatisfied with? And again, even if you work for a very structured job, maybe there's an energy around, gosh, I feel so restless and drained at the end of the day. Maybe going for a walk during my lunch break would bring in more vitality. Maybe getting my workouts in before work would help with bringing in more energy. It's just contemplating. Just because this is how I've been doing things doesn't mean it's how I need to continue doing things. And just to a very practical level, on Monday morning, there could be an energy around finding the beauty just within the day-to-day, like romanticizing your day-to-day if possible, like really romanticizing the journey of, making your electrolytes. If you're going to have a glass of water, throw some berries in there, okay? Throw some frozen berries in there. I highly recommend. Romanticize your life, right? Romanticize your workout class, romanticize going for a walk after work, or just look out for opportunities to see beauty within others. There could be an energy of harmonizing with others or brainstorming with others, particularly in the earlier part of the day. The moon is void after it trines Uranus at 1:47 p.m., very brief void moon. It enters Libra at 2:16 p.m. And of course, Libra moon is very concerned with harmony and balance and partnership. So this could be a day that you are doing offsite meetings with clients and it's going well, or meetings, there's a lot of harmony and working together. But I do have one potential caveat that I want you to look out for. And that is that the Libra moon will oppose that Saturn-Neptune energy. This is also why within the vibe check, there's just this energy around, I just need time to see. I need time to allow who it is that you really are to surface, or what this deal really is to surface, because Neptune is a smokescreen. Neptune can be all around the sleight of hand. It can be all around the fantasy. And in the early stages of dating someone, courting someone, becoming friends with someone, we really don't know who they are. And again, the empanada issue, that was something where it's like, maybe we could get over that, but that person did reveal who they really are when you voiced a boundary, or when you voiced that it was going a little fast. Suddenly, the mask slipped. Like, this could absolutely be energy of the mask slipping, especially with Neptune stationing retrograde on Friday. We'll get into that shortly. That's why you needed time, right? Saturn is the planet of time. It's like, I need time to figure out who it is that you really are, because people can switch up. They could be so charming and so persuasive, but then push comes to shove and you see who it is that they really are. And that's why sometimes it's helpful to take your time with things, to honor if you feel like things are going too fast around, let's just like ground it down. Let's take things one step at a time. And with the Libra moon opposite Saturn and Neptune, I'm not saying that any of you are going to be love bombed on Tuesday. I'm just saying that there can be an energy of if the vibe feels off, honor that. So often we gaslight ourselves out of our own emotions around, well, they weren't really that pushy when I said that I wouldn't enter into a relationship, or the way that they were chewing isn't really that bad. Like they could learn to chew. Saturn and Neptune are in the very authentic sign of Aries. Like if someone shows you who they are, believe them. And if they're pressuring you to jumping into something or committing to something or signing to something, and they are coercing you and pushing you, that does not always necessarily correspond with having a lot of respect for you. Sometimes people try to push you into things so that they can finally let the mask slip and show you who it is that they really are, which is just something I want you to be conscious of. Like in life, absolutely, but on Tuesday as well, because the Libra moon will oppose Neptune. It will oppose Saturn. The Libra moon does trine Pluto a little later on that night as well. So find your power by validating how it is that you feel. I'm not saying you need to react based on every emotion that comes up. Again, it's going to be important to mind our impulses with the current astrology, but it is validating around, yeah, I didn't feel very respected in that moment, or around, yeah, this was something that I picked up on. Validate that. You know, the moon is in a very logical sign, Libra, and sometimes we can weigh things out around, am I being dramatic? Am I being this? And it's just important to validate around, that was a moment that I felt disrespected. And that's valuable data. That's valuable data for me to honor in this moment, and finding your power in that. Or even having your power around sharing with someone else, around a friend of yours, trusted friend, around, do you think it's kind of weird that this person that I just met is like pressuring me into a relationship and really mad that I'm saying no? And sometimes hearing something from outside of yourself, even though you know it's true, hearing it validated from someone outside of you can bring you back to, yeah, that is kind of weird. Something is off about that. And also with Tuesday's astrology, I would just be mindful of getting swallowed up into other people's needs and priorities and projects without your consent or even your awareness that that is what is happening. What do I mean by that? Let's say your coworker has some sort of emergency and they're like, you've got to help me, like drop everything that you're doing and help me with this project. And you, because you are who it is that you are, drop everything that you're doing and help them with this project without even being aware that that's what you're doing. Like sometimes when we move on impulse like that, like, oh, you need me? Okay, let me drop everything. Sometimes we can fawn, like do whatever we need to in order to comply with the situation without checking in with ourselves around, does this feel good? Like, am I honoring my own energetic sovereignty here? Even if it's not a coworker, let's say you get an email from a client who wants you to prioritize their project or get this out when you're working on a different project as something that you wanted to get done today. Like automatically dropping what you were doing and complying, feeling like other people's needs and priorities are more important than your own. And even just being conscious of where you get sucked into other people's energy. We do this a lot on social media a lot of times, where you wake up and all of a sudden you're sucked into somebody else's world, or you're sucked into the current events, you're sucked into the headlines without even making the conscious decision that that's the sort of media that you want to engage with. It's just kind of like in your face right away. And then you get sucked into other worlds and other people and other priorities. And sometimes that takes you away from where it is that you wanted to invest your energy. And again, with Neptune in Aries, it's going to be very important to understand how your energy is your currency and to really practice discernment around when you step into these social media apps, like being very intentional around how you utilize them, being very intentional with how you are seeking out media and not making it bleed into the rest of your life. Being conscious if there's friends or family members who call you and just dump all of their stuff on you, be very conscious around where you are making yourself available and accessible for that sort of energy exchange. It's just around being aware. It's not saying it always needs to be a, no, I can't come to the phone right now, but it's just remembering your power around, I can choose to open this door and be energetically present, or I can choose to not. I can choose to make this decision to help my coworker, or I can not. I just want you to be conscious of where automatically your impulse is to drop everything that you were doing and automatically be present for the other person. Again, within the vibe check, you could have complied with that situation. It probably would have been less awkward to just like smile and laugh and be like, okay, I'll be your partner now. Yay, booze. And maybe dealt with the aftermath of that later, but that's not really how you felt. And of course, it's uncomfortable to assert yourself. It's uncomfortable to state a boundary. It's uncomfortable to break up with someone. Like, these are uncomfortable things. And sometimes the very nature of Libra is that we want to be likable. We want to keep the peace. We want things to be harmonious. So we will do whatever necessary to comply with that situation, whether it's charm, whether it's grace, whether it's willingness. And then it doesn't feel so good. Like, you would have come back into your house after that interaction and just felt off. Like, I guess I have a boyfriend now. Like, I just kind of like smiled and laughed and said yes, and now I feel uncomfortable. You deal with the aftermath. Like, that discomfort that you evade in that situation just follows you around. So it's going to be important to stand on business, really, with Saturn and Aries. So on Wednesday, we continue with the moon transiting Libra. So there can be more of a focus around connecting, collaborating, harmonizing with those around us. I do want to share that at 12:30 p.m., we have the first quarter moon in Libra. And this, of course, is the first crisis point to the building new moon of last week. So on Wednesday, July 2nd, the moon continues on in Libra all day long. So there is more of an interest around connecting, collaborating, compromising with those around us, though not at the expense of yourself. Okay, like we talked about yesterday. And that could reach ahead today because at 12:30 p.m., we have the first quarter moon. So this is a callback to last week's Cancer new moon. Let me know how that was for you all. Let me know how it is that you worked with the energy of that new moon, how it is that you called in more joy, more gratitude, more fulfillment, more presence, more love, whatever it is that you were calling in. And like we've been talking about with Cancer season, the way that we feel can be powerful, can be potent. Of course, it's important to emotionally regulate and to mind our impulses and mind our reactions and even mind our words. Okay, I also want to highlight that with Mercury in its great shadow. Sometimes things that are shared at this time we could review in the coming weeks. So just being mindful of that. So it's not saying we need to live on impulse and live on emotion, but it's just important to honor the feeling of anything. And again, Cancer new moon is, I want to call in more of this particular emotion. And with the first crisis point with the moon in Libra, it's around checking in what occurs when what it is that you feel differs from what someone else may want you to feel or what may be convenient for you to feel in a given situation. Again, with the energy of Cancer new moon, if you're calling in more space for stillness and reflection, are you still able to prioritize that if somebody else thinks that it's a waste of time that you meditate in the morning? Like, you're able to hold that vibration and safeguard what is sacred to you around this is important to me, even though you may prefer that I get an earlier start in your breakfast. This is someone that you're cooking breakfast for, something like this. This is something that's important to me. And are you able to maintain that even when the people in your life may want something different from you? You know, how valuable is harmony altogether? Like, is the harmony with those around you more important than the harmony within yourself? Again, if a client is forcing you to sign the dotted line, or a manager is forcing you to sign with them, or a person is like forcing you to be in a relationship, and you automatically are doing what's going to keep the peace or what's going to make me the most liked, you may feel the fallout of that. It doesn't feel good. Like, Cancer energy wants you to honor how things feel. And it's like something around the way that this manager is trying to sell me on this and that, like, it just doesn't feel good. Like, something feels off. Maybe I need more time. Maybe it's just a not right now thing. It's like not doubting your own internal landscape. Like we've been talking about with Cancer season, like, your intuition is the most powerful compass that you have available, and nobody else can decide that for you. Again, somebody can see from their perspective what's best for you is to be in a relationship with them or to sign with them, because of course that suits their own interests. And even if they're just giving you advice genuinely out of the goodness of their heart and the appreciation for you, you have your own unique path based on your talents, on your abilities, on your strengths, on what the universe is calling you to do. So if you take too much advice from other people, you'll find yourself in a destination where it's like, this is not what I wanted to feel. You should be worried if there's ever a time within your life where you recognize that you are saying yes. You should be worried. Not that I want to encourage worry out there, but it's not a great sign if you never say no. It's not a great sign if you're liked by everybody. It's not a great sign if you are approved by everybody. Because when you're being everything for everybody else, you're not being you. And it won't feel good because it's for other people. And not everybody will understand what's sacred to you. If stillness is important to you, people will see meditation as a waste of time. If having freedom of hours is important to you, that manager who's trying to sign you will think that that's dumb. You should just try to maximize income. If having a single summer is important to you, this empanada person will think that that's silly because you should be in a relationship with them. People won't get it. They don't understand what's important to you, what pours into you, and what nourishes you. And it's okay that they don't, right? We're all on our own journey, and not everybody does this for nefarious or manipulative purposes, but it's just important to know that not everybody is going to get it. And sometimes you do have to let other people down in order to please yourself. So there can be an awareness today, either in big or small ways, around where it is that trying to be liked by everybody has led to emotional residue that doesn't necessarily feel as good. And maybe with the energy of the Libra moon in this first quarter moon position, which is a crisis of action, maybe there is something that comes about where you do have an opportunity to stand up for yourself, to maybe negotiate around the manager wants you to sign the dotted line and they want this much percentage, but you negotiate around, what about this? You know, utilizing the power of charm. Let's be real about Libra moon, right? Utilizing the power of charm, but also being empowered around, here's my stance. I'm willing to work with you and collaborate, but are we able to make this into a balanced situation? Even though it'd be easier to just go along around, okay, the percentage you say is fine. Even though it might be easier and more socially acceptable to just go along with what is occurring in that moment around. With the Libra moon, we're always striving to find balance. And so it's going to be important to recognize what's throwing you off balance, especially emotionally and energetically, with it being Cancer season. We always want that balance in every element of our life, that balance between self and other, that balance between being on your phone and getting outside, that balance between work and fun, that balance between rest and productivity. You could be really wanting to dial in order to find that balance within your world. Other celestial events on Wednesday. After midnight, the Libra moon will square Jupiter in Cancer. And so this can be excess and overdoing energy, whether it relates to fawning with the energy of Libra moon or the energy of trying to keep the peace. You could have overdone it when it came to the empanadas or when it came to the spending. Keep in mind, Venus is in its final degrees of Taurus, and both the Libra moon and Venus in Taurus, they like the finer things. They like to be surrounded by beauty. And so this could be an energy where you stayed up too late online shopping or something like this in this effort to enjoy the beautiful things of life with this Venus energy. And then around 3:30 a.m., the Libra moon sextiles Mercury in Leo. So there can be an energy around communicating how you feel, voicing how you feel. Like we talked about last week with Mercury in Leo, it's important to let them hear you roar, right? Or at least to communicate your truth, share your story. And that can come up within negotiations, that can come up within dating, that can come up within communicating at large. And it's important to share your truth, not what would be the most convenient and the most palatable for other people, but what you have to share, what's heart-centered. Leo is the heart space, so what you are passionate about. So on Thursday, July 3rd, the moon continues on in Libra all day long, opposing Chiron in Aries at 8:10 p.m., which can bring up elements of pain, heartache, suffering, some light and fun topics like that. And this could be showing up within your immediate world, within your interpersonal context, or just grieving altogether, grieving what other humans are going through, grieving what doesn't fare within your world or at large. Like Libra is an energy that is associated with fairness and justice. And with the energy of Libra moon opposing Chiron, there could be heart pangs around what doesn't feel fair. And Chiron energy is so sinister because it really clicks into painful loops and stories that stack within us. Chiron is a comet that has to do with pain and what has deeply wounded us, which oftentimes harkens back to a time outside of what's surfacing now. But it's so painful because it hits on a story that has been so alive and dominant within our own experience. And it could also just be the heartache around there's no way for both of us to get what we need out of this scenario. Taking back to the vibe check, there's no way that Mr. Empanada, Miss Empanada, they Empanada, the date in the vibe check, there's no way that they can get what they want and you can get what you want out of the situation. Like sometimes it just really is a lose-lose. One of you would have to sacrifice what it is that you desire. And again, we can make it an entire story, but sometimes it just is what it is. That this might be a great person, it might be a great connection, but the timing is off. And sometimes there is a little bit of a surrendering that we have to do with the universe around it just didn't work, and that's okay. It's better that than me being in a relationship that I don't want to be in. That's not fair to Miss Empanada. And it's not fair for this person to sacrifice what it is that they want. If they really do want a committed relationship right now, it's not fair for them to have to hold off on that. And so sometimes it is a lose-lose in that. And there could be like heartache and pain around that, around why couldn't it have worked? And maybe you rejecting the empanada individual could have brought up certain pain points in them, none of which you are responsible for. I want to make that clear. But again, the empanada individual can walk away from that scenario thinking, people never want to move into a committed relationship with me. Like, what am I doing wrong? This always happens, which makes the situation so much more painful because yes, it was a brief moment in time, but now this person is haunted by the what ifs. And again, this stacking on an earlier story around it's easy for me to be rejected. It's easy for me to be abandoned. And it's important to know that you within yourself did not cause that stab wound. But sometimes just when interacting with humans, we do let people down. We do have to sometimes break people's hearts. And it's so uncomfortable within this reality, especially when you do care about this person, you appreciate this person, but you also have to love and appreciate yourself. And you need to not take on ownership around stepping around their insecurities around, okay, I'll just get into a relationship with this person because I don't want to let them down. I don't want to hurt them out of pity. Like that hurts more. Like sometimes we do have to let people down. And knowing that if you're on the side around a certain situation, brought up some pain points, you feel rejected, you feel betrayed, of course, we all have a responsibility to be good to one another, to be kind to one another. But sometimes it's so painful in a way that has nothing to do with this person. It's simply what they triggered. It's simply what they made us look at in ourselves. And it's not saying you can't feel pain, that you can't feel heartache, that you can't feel betrayed, but it's also knowing the work of healing is yours. Chiron and Aries, that is your work to address that core wound or address that core story and to heal and pour into that part of you, knowing that no one can do that for you or fix it for you in a sense. Because another dimension that I want to add on to this Venus-Uranus story that is building to exact tomorrow is that Uranus is also a planet that's very concerned with individuality. It's very much around rebellion and being our own person, marching to the beat of our own drum, letting our freak flag fly. Okay, that's the energy of Uranus. And as this energy builds, we can feel a little restless. We want to be ourselves. And life is too short to feel like you have to water yourself down or dilute yourself or suppress yourself in order to fit into the confines of a relationship altogether. And with the energy of Uranus building, there's just a desire around, I want to be myself. And my job upon coming here was to be myself. And I have to choose myself. As painful as that is, and as much as I care about you, and as gently as I'm going to do this, I have to choose myself. Same goes with any sort of business situation or friend situation. Again, you can be caring and compassionate, but at the end of the day, it is important that you build a life that is true to you, and the right people will be in your life who are meant to. Another dimension of this is some of you could feel let down by your partner. If you're in a committed relationship or by a friendship, you could just feel let down around, oh, I really thought you were going to do this for me, or I'm sad that you weren't able to do this for me. And of course, to be in a relationship, you should be prioritizing your partner, but it's reclaiming where it is that you can be giving that person too much power around feeling so let down because this person never takes you to go roller skating. Uranus could be taking your desires into your own hands around, this brings me pleasure, so I'm going to shake things up. Usually I do something with you, but I want to go roller skating. So I'm going to do that. Because again, we could feel so let down around this person needs to provide this need to me. And it's not saying that your partner should not prioritize you and support you in a myriad of ways. But if you are outsourcing prioritization without prioritizing what it is that you love and appreciate, like this week's astrology might be a nudge to do just that, to do the things that you love, to do the things that light you up, even if that's a disruption from the connection. Ultimately, you should be in a relationship with people who value you and respect you enough for you to roller skate every so often. So it's not waiting on somebody else to give you what it is that you desire. Like with Venus Uranus, it can be you shaking up the story around, I'm going to go roller skating. I'm going to do what it is that I love and I value because I'm worthy of it. On Friday, July 4th, the day starts off with a bang. We've got Venus aligning with Uranus at 5:45 a.m., which can bring unexpected matters. And before you allow your mind to run away from you, contemplating what could that be, remember, take a deep breath. Really emphasize the exhale. That can be really helpful for our system in order to ground yourself, because I'll let you know, I had a bunch of Uranus squares because I have some Aquarius placements at later degrees. I had a bunch of Uranus squares, and every time I saw one get close, I was like, what is this going to bring? What is going to happen? And a lot of times unfolded in very wacky ways. That's the nature of Uranus, is that sometimes Uranus is a flat tire that majorly derails your day, and sometimes Uranus is a practical joke that is played on you. Sometimes Uranus is spontaneously saying yes to hanging out with someone who's outside your typical type, and sometimes Uranus is getting so restless that you decide to dye your hair a different color and get bangs. Like, I almost like to play a game where I contemplate what Uranus may bring, because the very nature of having an idea of how it could show up oftentimes negates that very suggestion. Like, it never plays out how I would even comprehend it. It somehow always is from left field, not what I would have anticipated or expected. So there's no use in panicking in what is not to be known right now. It's just going to be important to ground yourself, getting closer to this energy, and just see where it is that you can bob and weave with whatever may come up. Here's some themes that may surface. So firstly, with Venus Uranus, this could be an energy around craving a little bit more freedom and love, and not in a way around being shady. It's always important to be honest and all of that. But this could be an energy where you're wanting to be your own person. You're observing where somebody could be cramping your style. You want to roller skate. This person never wants to roller skate. So this energy could be like, I want a weekend free to go roller skate, to go do my thing. You know, there could be an energy where you're finding it's important right now to want to do your own thing. If you're in the midst of an early talking stage and someone's trying to tie you down, there could be an energy around, I want the summer. I want to explore. I want to say yes to different sort of spontaneous social outings and gatherings. This could be a spontaneous date night, having a date night with someone that is outside of the norm of what you do together. Some of you could say yes to a romantic interest who differs from the type that you typically go for. This could also show up financially. So with Venus Uranus, there could be wacky financial occurrings happening at this time. There could be unexpected charges on your bank statement, or you could even spend your money on something spontaneous. Do keep in mind, the anaretic degree, as we discussed, does bring a sensation of urgency. So there can be an energy around, I have to invest in this now in order to get this deal. And Uranus, while it's exciting as an energy, it's not always the most stable, even while it's in Taurus. So I would watch the spending. I would also watch the beauty decisions. Now, Venus is in its domicile. So Venus is Venusing. And I will say that if you've been wanting to do something new beauty-wise, you've been wanting to get a haircut, you've been wanting to get a certain beauty procedure, this week may be helpful for it. It's our last kind of slice of time that we have Venus in domicile for some time until Venus enters Libra. And so it could be helpful, but Friday might be erratic and spontaneous, just deciding you want bangs or deciding you want a bob. And it's important, like I said at the very beginning, to not operate on impulse. If you've been like really desiring purple hair, you've been really desiring bangs, the earlier part of this week may be helpful for that, just to grab hold of that really beautiful Venus and Taurus energy. But towards Friday, there could be an energy where you're just feeling chaotic and erratic, and you suddenly want to change something within your appearance. And it's just important to ground yourself down before making major decisions this week. I just want to say that, to think it through with Mercury in retrograde shadow, and to know that sometimes it doesn't solve the issue. There's something around hair a lot of times that when we're going through something, sometimes we like change our hair. What is that? Like, have you noticed that people do that? And I think there is something to it. I will say last year when I was going through what I went through, if you watch Magic Monday, you know I've talked about it a bit here and there. And I knew I was going through something because I just suddenly wanted to do something different with my hair. I wanted to be blonde. I wanted to like shake it up, even though I had worked so hard to get it to my natural color. This is my natural color. I worked really hard to get it to this after my travesties with Sun In, if you know about Sun In. So I'd worked so hard to get it back to my natural color. Then when I was going through something, I suddenly wanted to change it all up. I felt so out of sorts on the inside that I sort of thought that adjusting my appearance on the outside would help matters. And I actually didn't, which I'm very thankful for, because I don't like to make those sort of decisions if I'm not feeling grounded and empowered within my life. Like, that was the biggest lesson that I took away from last year, is that like, you pour into you first. When you are nourished, when you are full, you'll be able to make the right decisions for you to navigate forward. Whether it's our hair, our love lives, our finances, we just don't make the best decisions from that space because we're looking for something to fix it. Maybe a haircut, I'll feel different. Maybe a purchase, I'll feel different. Maybe a new relationship. And sometimes it's just this energy around, let me dial into my inner reality first. It's Cancer season. Let me address what's happening in here, and not feeling like what's happening out here is going to somehow change what's happening in here. And again, if you want to dye your hair, dye your hair. Okay. I just want you to be certain on your why. And if this is something that you value, I think if you're going through something where you're feeling insecure and not good about yourself, that's never a time to invest in plastic surgery or do your hair differently, hoping to feel different. Like, address what's happening in here and allow what's happening out here to be fun. Like, do your hair because it's fun, not because you think making this change will make you feel more beautiful. Do it because it's you with the energy of Uranus. You know, break out of the mold of what's expected of you. Dress in the ways that make you feel good and true and you. Do your makeup in the ways that make you feel good and true in you. Be yourself with the energy of Venus Uranus, and ensure that you're engaging with any sort of beauty decision from that space, not a space around, let me shift up my outer because then I'll feel different within my inner. And same goes really as it relates to financial decisions, like feeling like this purchase is going to fix matters, or even getting into a relationship, getting out of a relationship will fix matters. Again, sometimes getting out of a relationship is helpful. Sometimes getting into a relationship is helpful. I think it's just an energy around being certain on your why and not feeling like, if only I was in a different relationship, if only I was single, if only I was with this person. And Uranus energy in and of itself is very restless. And this is the anaretic degree. You could feel like you need to change everything. Should I move? Should I divorce? Should I break up? Should I do this? And it's just important in those moments to go within. What is it that you really value? What is it that you really want? What's really true to you in this season of your life? And this Uranus energy can be baked into Thursday as well, because it happens in the morning hours. And overall, Uranus energy can make us feel electric, sometimes excited, sometimes inspired, sometimes thinking out of the box, sometimes getting out of the box aesthetic ideas with the energy of it aligning with a Venus, sometimes meeting someone unexpected. You know, don't count it out, especially with Venus entering Gemini at 8:31 a.m. And so what to expect with the planet of love, beauty, and pleasure entering Gemini. Firstly, there is a desire to learn. The very nature of Gemini is constantly wanting to intake and absorb information. So you could feel more lit up around wanting to go to museums, wanting to read more, wanting to discuss more. There just could be an energy around really wanting to learn something new every single day. And with Venus and Gemini, wanting to learn through your partner. So if you're in a committed relationship, Venus and Gemini can be a great opportunity to really prioritize the communicative parts of your connection. You know what they say, the brain is the largest organ, shall we say, on the body, a certain sort of organ, if you catch my drift. And so with Venus and Gemini, we're wanting to be seduced mentally, this is very like sapiosexual energy, right? Being seduced by someone's mind, by someone's intelligence, by someone's knowledge on different matters, and wanting to learn about life through our partner or with our partner. Again, it's not to say that everything needs to transpire this week like it did within the vibe check. Maybe some of you are at that precipice and you're like, yes, I actually do want to be in this relationship and we are learning together, because relationships really are a playground for learning about ourselves truly. But there was just an energy within the vibe check around, I'm learning about myself through connecting with different sorts of people. I was in a relationship. It's important to me to be true to myself with Venus on Uranus, and I'm being open to different connections. But that's not necessarily the nudge for everybody this week. And with Venus in Gemini, if you're not in a relationship, you're not open to dating, there could just be this nudge around really wanting to tell your story, really wanting to express yourself. You know, we've got Mercury in Leo, we've got Venus in Gemini. So there can be a focus around writing. There can be a focus around documenting, you know, especially with Cancer season, it's very sentimental energy. So write journal entries, capture photos, be very present with this season of your life. Write down what it feels like to be alive at this particular moment in time, or what it feels like to be moving through what you're moving through. There can be an energy around wanting to create, communicate, share, capture, document with the current celestial lineup, and Venus and Gemini can be supportive of that. This can be a time, if you've been a little bit in the hermit era, listen, honor it. It's Cancer season. Sometimes we're just wanting to be in our homes, and with Venus and Taurus, be by the snacks and by our creature comforts and all of the things. But with Venus and Gemini, this can be an opportunity to socialize, to connect, to network with different sorts of individuals, to say yes to that business happy hour, to say yes to that project, to say yes to that party, to spice up your life socially. And since Venus does govern money, and Venus is entering Gemini, who's answering to Mercury, who will shortly station retrograde, my encouragement would be to really learn around what you are putting your money into, really contemplate any purchases that you want to make. Again, take the time to be curious, to ask questions, whether it's to a financial advisor or to a manager who wants to sign you. Maybe some of you who have your own business will utilize this to conduct market research. What do your clients want? What are consumers looking for? What are they searching for? There's lots of value in gathering information before we make a decision, right? Mercury in retrograde shadow, Venus in Gemini. Gather information. There's nothing wrong with gathering information, especially if it helps you make educated decisions forward. Speaking of retrogrades, Neptune will station retrograde at 2:34 p.m. in the sign Aries. So let's unpack this. Firstly, Neptune is a planet that is around the illusion and the fantasy, the rose-colored glasses of it all. And there was an energy on that empanada night where the rose-colored glasses came off, right? You were so swept away around getting to know this person that you had built them up to be something that they weren't. You know, sometimes we do that in dating. We put somebody on a pedestal. And there was a moment on that date where you confronted that this is a human being who has flaws. And again, everybody has flaws, but there are certain pet peeves that bother us more than others. You know, I had to make it centered around a pet peeve with Mars and Virgo. You know, Virgo is all around the little details. So it's like a little detail around, I don't know if this works for me. I don't know if this works with me. This might be a deal breaker. Even though some people might be like, that's so minor, you could get through this. We all have different stuff. We all have different deal breakers. And it's just around getting to know yours and being able to assert yourself around those things. And as minor as it may be for some people, the chewing for you was just like, no. They were talking with their mouth open. They were getting crumbs all over the table. It was just like gross. And the rose-colored glasses came off. We're just like, this is just a human. It's not this god that I built them up to be. And they have flaws, as all do. But this is something that doesn't really gel with me. That was like a light red flag where it's like, I didn't love it. Kind of got the ick. Rose-colored glasses are off. But the real red flag was you were pushy and coercive around wanting me to be in a relationship, not respecting my no, not respecting my boundaries. And that really took the rose-colored glasses right off, because it's way too early for you to be pressurizing my time and my energy. Absolutely not. And so you may have a moment where you are contemplating your fantasies and illusions with Neptune retrograde. Keep in mind, retrogrades always turn the energies inward. So it's not that all of us are going to have the sobering moment where we see something with a lot of clarity, but a lot of us are contemplating, am I seeing this with clarity? Have I been deluded here? Have I been seduced into building this person up to be something that they are not? Have I been conned to signing in with this manager because I believed the dream that they were selling me? Some of us are just contemplating that. And with the energy of retrograde, we are really like going within to reflect upon this, as well as reflecting on what the Neptune and Aries story has been thus far. Check out the video that I did on that topic to deep dive. I think that will be a relevant watch, especially at a time such as this, when I talk about some of the significations that this transit has to other historical events. And it's also just this energy with Neptune and Aries, just really reflecting, like, where have I been brainwashed? Which seems like a very loaded, intense phrase to say, but it's just really contemplating where we are being programmed, or where our energy is being manipulated, where our anger is being harvested. It's just really contemplating that, because not one of us on this planet are immune to being manipulated or to being scammed, to being conned. So it's just checking in on that. It's knowing that we're not superhuman, right? We come here to be humans, to learn with Venus and Gemini. And sometimes it just means coming back to, where have I, bought into a dream? Where have I believed something that doesn't feel quite right or quite resonate? Where have I felt like I've had the wool pulled over my eyes? Or where has my anger or my impulses or my reactions been manipulated without my consent or awareness? Like, sometimes even just contemplating that can be powerful. And again, always aiming for energetic sovereignty with Neptune's transit through Aries, around recognizing, of course, we're all sponges. We absorb what is happening around us. We absorb the media that we take in and the social media posts that we see. Like, we naturally absorb that. And it's just like really reflecting around, what am I absorbing and how is that shaping my worldview in certain ways? And how can I reclaim my power over what illusions I have been conditioned to believe? There's just going to be a story around that and around contemplating that. As well as, of course, Neptune can be where it is that we lack boundaries, where we are too permissive at times. It can also be where it is that we escape, avoid. And so with Neptune retrograde, what am I avoiding rather than acknowledging? Where am I utilizing substances or music or art to escape from matters, to escape from my life, rather than to enhance my life? Because again, I am a believer that sometimes it's very healthy and helpful to escape from life, in a sense. Like, I just had a weekend visiting my friend Naomi in LA, and I was barely on my phone, and my mental health felt so much better. It was crazy. Like, of course, I think it's so powerful how connected we all are. And with Venus and Gemini, we want to connect, but it's just contemplating that even if you're not cognizant of it, every time you engage with media or just dial into other people's perceptions, you do intake a lot of fear in some cases, anger in some cases, emotion in some cases, jealousy in some cases. We just absorb a lot. So it's just like checking in. What am I absorbing? We do absorb a lot. And so I do think it's healthy every so often to escape, or at the very least to set limits around how we engage with these sort of things. But when it comes to substances or things like that, like seeing, where am I evading the problem by suppressing it and numbing myself rather than acknowledging that there's a problem here? Like, again, in the vibe check, you could have just escaped from this issue by going along with it. Like, yeah, I'll be in this relationship with you, but it's just delaying it. Like, we really don't escape from things. We just kind of delay it. So Neptune retrograde may ask you to kind of check in on that. Other than that, quite a busy day. The moon enters Scorpio at 2:33 a.m., which could plunge our emotions into extremes, especially with the Scorpio moon squaring Pluto in Aquarius. That happens at 8:46 a.m. The Scorpio moon then goes on to trine Jupiter in Cancer at 2:06 p.m. Please make sure that you prioritize the soul food, the people, the art, the media that conjures a sensation of hope, or that's sacred to you, that you deeply care about. That is truly medicine at this time, and just knowing that when you prioritize your vibration or you prioritize feeling good, I know it can feel inconsequential within the bigger scheme of things, but that can inspire others, that can uplift others, that can get you into a space where you're able to make a difference. And so it's knowing that investing in you and investing in feeling good and doing the things that make you feel good is never trite. It truly can help. It's also important to know that the Scorpio moon trining Jupiter in Cancer happens like right before Neptune retrograde. So there is an ask around where it is that you protect your energy. And sometimes that shows up around being very intentional when you are going onto social media, or being very intentional where you are accessible and available to others. Like, it's really not a sustainable way to live the way we are constantly bombarded with information and stimuli. It can make our nerves very frayed. And again, we feel very all over the place. Sometimes it's very helpful to take a break, to go on a walk and leave your phone behind, or to have a weekend where you unplug a little bit. Again, Neptune retrograde is going to make us review where it is that we escape altogether in destructive ways, but I would argue that's escaping in a constructive way, because when you return back to what is occurring or what needs to be fixed or what needs to be solved, you do so from a regulated nervous system, which, like I said, is going to be key with this astrology. That evening, there could be some stubborn clashes around point of view, with the Scorpio moon squaring Mercury in Leo, people feeling something deeply and communicating that and forgetting to listen as much as you are speaking could be an emphasis here, as well as there could be a pull between the head and the heart around something feels off, but it makes sense. And again, that's where it's helpful to gather more information, to take your time in making a decision, because Scorpio moon is strategic. It's intuitive. It taps into underlying dynamics of situations that many other people are not always aware of. And so there might be something that you picked up on, but you're like, is this paranoid? Am I being dramatic? Am I seeing the worst in this particular person? Like, is this intuition or anxiety? There could be a little bit of tension there. And then at 11:20 p.m., the Scorpio moon will sextile Mars in Virgo. Quite late for some, but there can be an energy around your depth of feeling, or feeling something intensely could motivate you to take action, either to improve your life or to make a difference, to be of service in some way. On Saturday, July 5th, the Scorpio moon will trine the Cancer sun at 6:29 a.m. And the Scorpio moon is, of course, in its fall. What the moon is up to is of the utmost importance currently, as we are in Cancer season, the season of the moon. So it's all about the moon right now. And the moon is not too terribly happy at a time such as this. You know, Scorpio energy is extreme. It's intense. It is not lukewarm. It feels deeply and intensely. And with the Scorpio moon trining the Cancer sun, there can be a nudge this weekend to really put your energy into what you deeply care about. You know, if you related to what I was sharing earlier around, like, my life moves faster than me, or things happen so quickly that I barely have the time to really appreciate this chapter of my family, right, with Cancer season, or appreciate this chapter of growing my business, or appreciate this chapter of living in this particular city. Like, sometimes things are just happening so fast that we forget to really be present. And with the energy of the Scorpio moon trining the Cancer sun, it could just be this energy around the outer world can wait. The things that are superficial can wait. Like, it's time for me to really deeply put my energy towards what I care about. You know, if it's not a heck yes, it's a heck no. In light of the vibe check, right? It was a heck no, because you weren't fully there. Like, the Scorpio moon asks us to be really committed emotionally in what we are really committed towards. And if we feel like we're so busy with all of these different matters, or maintaining the different elements of our life, that we're not able to fully give our energy towards what we deeply care about, there can be an opportunity this weekend to really reset, to prioritize what we matters to a deep level with the energy of Scorpio moon, what's sacred to us with the energy of the Cancer sun. As well as another way that this can come up is some sort of home project potentially. And Scorpio moon wants to plunge beneath the superficial. Scorpio moon is around transforming. So it can be an energy where you shake up some element of your home in order to make it more nurturing. It's Cancer season all around the home. There also could be an energy of release with the energy of Scorpio moon, letting go of things in order to bring in a certain emotion to your home. And it's not that Venus and Gemini is a superficial energy at all. It is an energy around enjoying the lightness of things. When I think of Gemini, I think of a butterfly, kind of like flitting from flower to flower, whether that's like topic to topic or person to person. Like they just have this ability to be able to connect in a sense. And the Scorpio moon wants us to deeply prioritize what really means something to us. Like Scorpio involves topics such as like life or death, like these deeper topics. And sometimes it can feel like saying yes to this, first date with this new person or what have you isn't something that I really deeply care about, or the people who are really sacred to me. So it can seem like besides the point. But again, this is more so an energy around plunging into, if I deeply value connection, if I think about my legacy in my life thus far and what means the most to me and what really lights me up and where it is that I feel really seen, like that is connection. So why would I not invest my energy in more connections? Like this is just an energy to recalibrate. It's like, where is my energy going? And is it really going to what is deeply important to me? If I value connection, I need to be open to connection, which means prioritizing connection, getting out there, saying yes to things. If I prioritize stillness, I need to be investing energy in stillness. It's really recalibrating in a sense. That's another re-prefix for the upcoming Mercury retrograde. So on Sunday, July 6th, the Gemini Venus will sextile Saturn in Aries and Neptune in Aries within the earlier part of the day. Saturn is direct and Neptune is retrograde. Let's get into it. With this energy, Venus and Gemini wants to, flirt, to connect, to collaborate, to gab, to banter. Venus and Gemini is into all of that. And the sextile to Saturn Aries is a nudge around that does require effort, right? We have to decide that it's deeply important to us with the last part of the Scorpio moon, and we have to invest our energy there. And any place that we invest our energy, that is depriving our energy from another arena of life. Like Saturn is around the finite restrictions of life. If I say yes to this date with empanada, that means I do not have that time and energy available for this work project, for spending time with my friends, for another date, for time in my own energy. There's drawbacks to everything. So that's around really making decisions with your full chest around, this is where I want to be. This is where I value to put my time. If I value connection, I want to put energy towards saying yes to parties, gatherings, dates, things of that nature, because that's something that I value. That's something that I want to build within my life with a sextile to Saturn. I acknowledge that's time that I will not be spending with this arena of my life and this arena of my life and this arena of my life. Just making that decision within your life and continuing to make those decisions from this place of sovereignty around, I won't be coerced to make this decision. I won't be coerced into a relationship. I'm choosing to invest my time here because it is something that I value. There's a nudge here. And with Venus and Gemini sextile Saturn, if it's well researched, keep in mind it's answering to a ruler who is getting ready to station retrograde in some time. If it's been well researched and you feel really educated, this can be an energy around, investing your money into something or thinking long-term, thinking shrewdly and strategically with your money and where you want to grow it or what you want to invest it towards. Again, this is what I value. So this is what I'm putting my money towards. I value self-improvement. So I'm putting my money towards this course. I value learning. So I'm investing in this calligraphy class. I value security. So I'm investing my money within this Roth IRA, whatever it may be. It's like making sure what you're investing your money in is a reflection of yourself. Make sure it's sound and it's wise and it's educated. Ask questions if you're unsure of something with Venus and Gemini, but it's really deciding this is what I'm doing. And it's not that I'm being forced to make this decision, rushed to make a decision. It's a decision that I'm making from this place of like sovereignty. And Venus also sextiles Neptune, which is visionary. It's very loving. It's seeing the divinity in people. I believe that we are all tapped into the divine. That's why I love getting to know different clients and friends, because to me, it's like we're all just reflections of God and the universe. And it makes me feel more connected to divinity when I get to know people, when I chat with people, when I learn their story, when I ask them questions. And it's really remembering to see people within that perspective. We have the Scorpio moon energy, sometimes when things are really intense and we're being bombarded with all of this information on all of these atrocities that are occurring, we forget to see the humanity within day to day and the divinity that is exemplified within humanity day to day around the kindness of your barista giving you an extra shot in your latte when you didn't even ask, or your next door neighbor who always smiles and waves at you every single morning. Like just those small little sprinkles into your reality that just remind you of the goodness of individuals and really looking for proof and evidence of that. So many of my clients have really just exemplified to me the magic of humanity and the kindness of humanity and the compassion of humanity and just so many positive attributes of humanity. So shout out to you all for being those examples for me. But with Venus sextile Neptune, it's also knowing, Neptune is retrograde. So it's also knowing that sometimes because you see the divinity in someone, you sometimes are a bit too permissive. Okay. Because it's like, the empanada individual, yes, they did not chew in a very proper way, but you see their humor and their potential, and it can sometimes make you sacrifice what you want because it's like, well, this is a great person. They have so much potential. I don't want to be in a relationship, but if that's what they want, I'll go with it because I see so much greatness in them. Again, I think there's something to be said around appreciating someone from afar. I'm a big believer in that. I do not believe that love equates possession. You could see the divinity in someone and see the potential in somebody while also acknowledging being entangled with you or in a connection with you would sacrifice certain elements of my journey. And maybe this person would have to sacrifice certain elements of their journey in order to be entangled together. I can appreciate the beauty of who you are, the divinity of who you are from afar, because our journeys are just taking us in different directions. That can also be a nudge here. On Sunday, let your mind guide you. Read a good book in the sunshine, go to a museum opening, go to some sort of free concert in the park. Like Venus and Gemini can be absolutely say yes energy, because even if the concert turned out to be a genre that you didn't love, even if the book was just okay, we don't get out of anything with it being a waste. Like it's important not to dictate that these things are a waste of time. Even that short-lived fling with the empanada individual, it was not a waste of time. You know why? Because you learned something. When it came to that concert in the park, it was not for you, but maybe you got a bit out of it around, I went to this bluegrass concert and I met all of these people there. Or maybe if that book wasn't for you, maybe there's one piece of it that stays with you in the future, is something you can add to a conversation in the future. Nothing is ever a waste of time. It's only a waste of time if we didn't learn anything from it, if we keep repeating the same mistakes. And Neptune retrograde, in all honesty, may make some of us confront where we've been repeating the same mistakes, deluding ourselves, thinking it will change or this person will change. If someone or something shows you who they are, what it is, believe it. Sometimes with Neptune retrograde, we fool ourselves, we delude ourselves, and we keep repeating and repeating. And Neptune retrograde may make you confront that or acknowledge that. Our lunar story on Sunday, within the first chunk of the day, the moon is in Scorpio, and the Scorpio moon opposes Uranus around 3 p.m. So there could be shockwaves, things that are unexpected, emotions that are unexpected that catch you by surprise. Keep in mind, it's Cancer season. We're feeling all the things quite intensely, and we're not moody, we're responsive. Okay, Cancer energy is responsive. It responds to the changing stimuli and emotions of the situation. So you might respond emotionally in ways that you did not expect. And again, it's not saying to suppress your emotions, like definitely feel them, but don't let them guide you. Like Mars is in a Mercury ruled sign. Mercury is in its pre-shadow retrograde phase. So it's just important, feel the feels, but before you feel the urge to call someone out or to impulsively react, gather information, even if that information is just from within, because sometimes we just feel different day to day, moment to moment. I'll know how I feel when I get there. The moon then enters Sagittarius at 3:06 p.m., which does breathe in a bit of adventure and novelty and excitement into your Sunday. So that can bring in a little bit more say yes energy to new social gatherings and experiences. The moon will trine Saturn. It'll trine Neptune. It'll oppose Venus. So allowing adventure to guide you forward, to remain open. Again, sometimes the concert in the park is a slay, and sometimes it's a miss. Sometimes the book is the most amazing book that you've ever read and you want to reread it right away. And sometimes it just wasn't for you. Like, the price that we pay for being spontaneous and being open is that sometimes we go on some bad dates, we read some bad books, we have some interesting experiences at the park listening to bluegrass, and that's not exactly for us, but it is worth it if it makes you feel alive. And the last lunar aspect of the day is that the Sagittarius moon will sextile Pluto in Aquarius at 9:06 p.m. I also just want to bring forward that Sagittarius brings up our philosophies and our belief systems, and with the sextile to Pluto in Aquarius, it's consciously banding together, connecting with individuals who align with our big picture perspectives, or investing energy there, right? With the Venus sextile Saturn, if we value something, we got to invest energy into it. So if we value community, we have to invest energy into community, so on and so forth. So my loves, that is our week. The Magic Monday mantra of the week to support you in navigating this week forward is: I inhale, I exhale. A very simple affirmation this week, but one that felt important to communicate, because Uranus energy can knock the wind out of our lungs, so to speak. Whether it's a very minor surprise or a major disruption within our week, sometimes Uranus energy can catch us off guard and make us feel very erratic and chaotic and all over the place. And it's just important in those moments, before you feel like you have to react, to inhale and exhale. To not allow your nervous system to be hijacked, to not allow your next actions to be made with this energy of panic, to really strive to be thoughtful with Mercury entering its pre-shadow retrograde, and really seeking to calm, to ground, to root. And I also loved this Magic Monday mantra because, from a different perspective, it also suggests the spirit of presence, you know, with Venus and Gemini, like really being present for our connecting. Like when we are connecting with a friend, when we are at a comedy show, when we're on a date, like really striving to like breathe in and breathe out, be here now. There's so many different things that are vying for our attention at any given moment. And to invest your energy one place means depriving it from something else. It's just an unfortunate drawback of life. So it's just like, I've given you this evening and I'm here, I'm present, I'm connecting with you. And I'm not going to make that decision willy-nilly. I'm not going to just say yes because I feel awkward. It's like, when I show up, I do so with my heart and my soul and my spirit and my undivided attention towards you. So it's striving to really be intentional with that. If I'm going to the party, I'm going to really be at the party. If I'm saying yes to this work project, I'm really saying yes to this work project. I inhale, I exhale, and I'm here. Is another part of this. So in the transition of Magic Monday to a podcast, I stopped doing emoji of the week simply because most podcasts don't have a comment option, but Spotify does and YouTube does. So I'm going to have emoji of the week if you are happening to listen or watch on one of those platforms, because I miss it as well, honestly. So this week's emoji is the two girls dancing and kicking with the little bunny ears, if you know that one on emojis, to shout out to the twin energy of Venus entering Gemini. And if you do not have emojis, you are listening or watching from desktop, just use the word twin or twins within a sentence. And that's just a little game that we play that lets me know that you made it to the end. If you are on a platform where you're able to comment, I would so appreciate it. And I would also appreciate if you would take a couple of seconds out of your day to rate and review the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it is that you listen. I am just so overflowing with gratitude at being able to expand these new platforms. You know, I'm learning so much, and with Venus and Gemini, it's so lovely to learn. So thank you so much for you all supporting me within this next chapter and being so kind with your well wishes and your well-spoken words. You know, Gemini energy definitely has the gift of the gab. So with Venus and Gemini, we can find that we're wanting to talk more, or we find the pleasure around choosing the right word or sprinkling in the vocabulary that really aligns with the situation. Doesn't that feel good when you just think of the right word at the right time? It's just the best. Simple delights of life, I tell ya. But I'll see you again, same time, same place in the cosmic corner of the internet. But until then, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.